So just at the top of this, I'm just going to write the sine law. So the sine law is, that's okay, side A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. So that's the sine law from yesterday. We had that in our notes, just so you don't have to flip back and forth. It's at the top of the page. So today we're going to solve for angles. Again, make sure your calculator's in degree mode. So you're going to have the letter D or a DEG usually on your screen. Let's see. Like if you look at this one, it's got the letter D here. If it's in radians, like an R or a G, you're not ever gonna get the right answers. I'm not sure what this one looks like. Wow. Yeah, this is the same thing as well. So it's just the letter D right at the top of the screen there. Okay, so you need to be in degree mode because that's what we're measuring our angles in, is in degrees. So we are going to use the given triangle. We're going to solve for angle B. So that's that angle right there. So just remember that the sets are across from each other. So this is set B here. So it's angle B and it's side B. And then you're looking for a set that's full and complete. So it has an angle and it has a side. And that would be this set here. Oh, those look like the same colors. Well, one's orange to me and one's yellow, but you get the idea. Okay, so again, I always set it up. I always fill in my full set. So this one's, the orange one's my full set because I have the side and I have the angle. So I always start with that one first. So I'm going to have 3.5 over sine of 55 equals, we know side B is 2.4, and we're looking for sine of B. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did yesterday. We're going to cross multiply. So we're going to multiply those two things and these two things. So we're going to have 3.5 times sine of B equals 2.4 times sine of 55. All right, so that's the action of cross multiplying. That's pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do now is we need to get the sine of B like isolated. So that thing isolated. So we're going to divide this side by 3.5 and divide this side by 3.5. So we're going to have sine B equals, and then we got to figure out what that is in our calculator. And we're going to need to put all the decimal places that it shows you on the calculator. So 2.4 times sine of 55. And then I go ahead and hit equals in my calculator, and then I'm going to divide it by 3.5. So I have 0.5617042589. Okay, so anytime we are solving for an angle, anytime we're trying to solve for an angle, that's when we're going to use the second function button on our calculator. So what the math, the way I would write it in math, would be sine to the exponent -1, and then we put that whole decimal in. 617042589. That's a pain in the butt. And okay, so if I were to do this in my calculator, this is where I'm going to hit shift. I'll just write these keystrokes down again. Shift, and then sine, shift and sine, and then I'm going to put that decimal in. Oh, did I leave enough room? I'm so proud of myself. I left enough room. And then I'm going to hit equals. It might work anyway without even hitting the equal sign, But that's what I'm doing in my calculator.
Is that 55?
Um,
For the arrow
where that,
up there? Is it 55?
this is 55. Yep, that's 55. And we're going to use the degree symbol. So 34 degrees. Did you guys all get that? You do really need to try it on your calculator again, just so that you are confident that you know how to use your calculator.
I'll note since in the calculator, when I press alpha and the equal sign, it'll bring up the previous answer.
Nice. And if you have an answer key or an answer button on your calculator, mine does as well. Mine has my answer key right there. I can recall the answer from the first one. So if you actually look what I put in my calculator, I put second function sine, and then I hit my answer button, and it took that big decimal, so I didn't have to type it in again.
So you just press the S key?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, don't have to round this one?
Well, I do still have to round the decimal, like I rounded to 34, but I didn't have to put that big decimal in, like I didn't have to rewrite all of that. Okay, do we have that copied? Okay, let's go on to the next one. An artist creates a triangular mural that will fit under the rafters of this building. The artist needs to know what size is the angle at the peak. Calculate to the nearest degree. So I'm trying to find that one right there. So that's the one I'm trying to find. So again, that's one set, the set I'm trying to find. And I'm going to try to pick the pink highlighter. We'll see if that's any better. And
So you're gonna 10.5 divided by sine?
the sine of 40 equals, because we're always going to use two parts of that sine law. So I always start with the one I know both parts of. I call that my matching set. Yeah, so we start with the side length on top, so 10.5 divided by sine of 40 equals, I know the side length, so side lengths are all on top, so this one's 16. I don't know this angle. You can either use the letter A or you could use theta. Either one will work. I'm going to use the letter A. Capital letters represent angles, so you want it to be an uppercase letter, whatever you choose, unless you're using Greek letters, and then I would encourage you to use theta. Okay, so we're going to go through the act of cross multiplying. So that's going to be 10.5 times sine of A equals 16 times sine of 40. And I want to get that by itself. So I'm going to divide through by 10.5, divide through by 10.5, and so I have sine A equals, and now I'm going to do all that decimal stuff. So 16 times sine of 40 equals, and then I'm going to go divide by 10.5, and I get 0.9. Okay, so anytime I'm solving for an unknown angle, I have to use my shift button. I will say it time and time again because that's one thing that people forget really easily, and that's okay, but we got to work on remembering it. And if you have an answer key, or if you have an answer button, so if you watch this calculator, I'm going to go shift, and then sine, and then in this calculator, all I have to do is hit the answer key, and it will take that big decimal that I have, and then I hit equals, and I get the 78 degrees for my angle. So if you have an answer button, it's super great. On my big calculator, my answer button, same location, but it's in light blue, and that means I have to hit my second function button before I do that. My light blue button to get that working. So you might find it as a second function button. I have TI is this one, and then these two are Casio ones, and these ones have just the answer button up here. And this is a Casio one, and it has the answer button here. I don't think I have any other types of them. Is there more examples on the other page? Is that it? No, that's it. Okay, so that's it for the lesson. Pretty much the same formula that we used yesterday, doing the same sort of stuff, but now we're using that second function button.
Can I go back to the
Yep.